Ladies and gentlemen, the mainstream media has been firing off mock drafts for several months. But now that the draft is getting closer, we're starting to get even more. So on today's episode, I decided that we are going to mock the mock drafts. That is right. We are going to be pulling up several from throughout the mainstream media. That includes the Daniel Jeremiahs of the world, the Mel Kipers. And we are going to look at least what some of the largest figureheads in NFL media are saying the Buffalo Bills are going to do in the draft, which is quite literally less than 2 weeks away. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Don Mafia Report, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast, Monday through Friday. If you are tuning in live on YouTube, welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful Friday afternoon. Please do me a favor, smash that like button. And when you subscribe to the channel, also make sure that you turn on bell notifications, because I want to make sure that each and every single one of you have an opportunity of being a part of my live audience. Because, as I'm sure you have already gathered, is that I typically speak for about 20 to 25 minutes based off of the topic at hand. And then afterwards, I transition exclusively over to my live audience where they control the conversation. So certainly do all of those things. Please go on ahead and introduce yourself in the chat if you are new here. And for those of you listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you consume your audio content, if you're enjoying the show, please consider leaving me a rating and a review. And also come on over to YouTube as well. If, for example, you want to be a part of this live chat community that we have been building over here. Now, folks, I'll tell you what, I have been scrounging the internet, attempting to find as many different mock drafts that we could. And let me tell you what, we found quite a few. And we are beginning with one of my personal favorites here. And this just so happens to be a mock draft from our good friend Chris Trapaso, a full 7-round mock draft. I am reacting to all of these blind, and I'm going to give you my takes based off of each and every single one of them. We have about 4 or 5 that we are going to look at, and then we are also going to be taking a look at this one article where it consolidates all of the first-round picks that the mainstream media is predicting that Buffalo goes. So, with the very first pick of Chris Trapaso's mock draft, it looks like the Buffalo Bills walk away with Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle out of Michigan. Quote unquote from Trapaso, the Bills wait patiently and see Grant fall into their lap. He is the beefy defensive tackle they need on their defensive line and provides upside at still just 21 years old. As many of you know, I am a massive advocate for Kenneth Grant to be the selection for the Buffalo Bills in the first round. The problem is that I am attempting to taper my expectations because this is one of the most polarizing prospects as into where he is going to fall on the board. I have seen him selected as high as pick 16. I have seen him selected as low as pick 36, pick 37, well into the beginning of the second round. And also, as you will notice on several of these mock drafts that we are going to go over, the likelihood based off of history that Brandon Beane stays at pick 30 is just not in the cards. He has only ever stayed at his draft position twice. He has either traded up or he has traded down. However, with the prospect in Kenneth Grant, as you guys know, I am not particularly looking for somebody that is a pass rush savant. I am looking for a guy that is quality in stopping the run, that is a big body, that is going to cause offensive line coaches nightmares, offensive coordinators nightmares, and be a distraction so the rest of our defensive line can eat and get the pressure that we so desperately need. Kenneth Grant is that guy for me, right? He is leaps and bounds higher than any of the other defensive tackle prospects that I would select. I have a tier list of what I would be okay with walking away or what I would be okay with the Buffalo Bills walking away with. However, Kenneth Grant is indeed the apple of my eye, as I could imagine vast majority of the viewers and the listeners would agree with me based off of a lot of the sentiment on social media. So he has the Buffalo Bills 30th overall pick, going Kenneth Grant. And then we end up selecting Darian Porter, a cornerback out of Iowa State. This dude has blazing speed, 4.3 40-yard dash. And according to Lance Zierlein, he has excellent zone awareness with the twitch and ball skills to expand his sphere of influence. Now, Darian Porter is interesting to me because he just recently took on the role as a DB. He was recently a wide receiver, so not a lot of experience at the position, but I think his athleticism speaks for itself. Many of us love the Azareye'h Thomases. We love Trey Amos. We love Maxwell Hairston, for example. But if you're looking for somebody that is going to fall in the deep second, because I can tell you this right now, Maxwell Hairston is likely going to be a guy that we reach for in the bottom of the first round, or we ultimately have to somehow finesse away into the high portion of the second round. Darian Porter would more than likely fall at this overall pick range right here. So I don't hate it at all. We've seen Sean McDermott turn many players in the secondary into very productive starters in this NFL. So I could only imagine what he would be able to do with an athlete like this opposite of Christian Benford. I would be happy with this selection. Next up, Trapaso says with pick 62, and this is a shock for me, but he has us selecting Donovan Ezeruku, edge rusher out of Boston College. We are talking about a guy here that has had 16 and a half sacks. He was ACC Defensive Player of the Year, and he would be a game wrecker. This is the sort of edge rusher that would be a day one impact player. I would pound the table to make sure that he was incorporated into the Buffalo Bills defensive system almost immediately. I would even argue that I would like to see a even snap share between him and Joey Bosa on that side, with Gregory Rousseau on the opposite. My only gripe with this, I would say, is him falling to 62 would be a pipe dream. Like, this is a player where you go into any sort of mock draft simulator, you go into many NFL expert analysts' first round mock drafts across the entire league, we're seeing this guy go in the mid-teens. Now, would I be ecstatic if the Buffalo Bills could walk away with an edge rusher like this that had that sort of production in 2024 with our third selection? With the 62nd overall pick, you're damn right. I'm going to be skipping, and I am going to be booking flights to Buffalo for when the parade is going to be next February. Love this pick. I'm not so sure how realistic I believe that it would be. Moving on, 62nd pick, the Buffalo Bills select Dante Thornton, wide receiver out of Tennessee. Now, why I think that this mock draft entirely is very unrealistic, as we pointed out already, is that there have been no moves at all. And I'm not going to give any gripes here to some of the national media who is doing this, because they have a responsibility of doing a mock draft for each and every single team. If, for example, they wanted to really make it as realistic as possible, they would have no shot in the gun range of being able to put out a quantity of content. But Buffalo not getting a third round pick, and Buffalo not making any moves at all and just standing pat, staying put for the first four picks of the NFL draft in general, not moving up, not moving down, not packaging a couple of players here and there from a strategic sense, is very unlikely. However, still very fun to talk about. But with pick 109, our next pick went a full third round without selecting anybody. We ended up selecting Dante Thornton, very speedy wide receiver out of Tennessee. I think that he has a very high ceiling because his utilization in Tennessee was not quite as high as some of the other prospects in this draft. According to what they ended up putting out on this prospect, the Bills add a deep threat for Allen in round 4. Thornton is a 6'5" wide receiver that runs a 4.3 40-yard dash and averages 21.9 yards per catch during his college career. So we're looking at a guy that has a very high quality average depth of target. 4.3 40 is almost a lock for somebody that can create vertical separation, which is the type of wide receiver that we are looking for in the first place. I would be okay with this. And so I really, really would. But then again, this is a sort of wide receiver prospect where I hope that he is third on our yes. So I hope that he is fourth on our wide receiver big board. And the three wide receivers that we have spoken about ad nauseum on this channel are gone. And then this is our next potential solution. Dante Thornton, welcome to the team. Then we see the Buffalo Bills with pick 132. The next fourth round pick for this team is yet another corner, which I find interesting, right? Because we have been battling back and forth, right? Like, what's the biggest need for the Buffalo Bills? A defensive tackle and or a corner. And how do you address a gaping hole in any team, right? Sometimes you have to double dip at a specific position. And Trapaso here has the Buffalo Bills double dipping at the cornerback position in Caleb Ransaw. Ransaw is a versatile defender that can cover and help defend the run, believes a move to safety would be a comfortable transition. So this is interesting, right? Because the Buffalo Bills also on a sleeper level need a safety, specifically a safety that excels in coverage. So why not utilize a guy that was a corner in college, solid at defending the run, and has that ability to move over to safety? But how many times have we heard that, right? Like, how many times have we heard, oh my God, there's news, there's rumors that the Bills are interested in moving Christian Benford over to safety? We've heard that a million times, right? I'm not particularly about this pick, right? I am not particularly about this. What we need in the secondary, as far as a skill set, has to be coverage. I'm going to pass on any safety that is known as a safety that can line up in the box, that is a threat against the run. We already have guys like that. We do, right? But then again, this is a double dip situation where the first corner we ended up walking away with, obviously. Here, let me double check in case I'm going crazy. Yeah. We had Darian Porter at the beginning. Not so much ecstatic about this one. And then afterwards, he rounded out the class, which, quite frankly, I am not quite familiar with a lot of these prospects. We have rounds 5 and 6, Cam Horsley, a defensive tackle at Boston College, meaning that we double dipped at that position as well. CJ Dippery, a tight end out of Alabama. Corey Kiner, a running back out of Cincinnati. So a guy that would more than likely just be a practice squad selection for us. Maxton Hook, safety out of Toledo, and Elijah Ponder, another edge rusher out of Cal Poly. Now, it sounds like that this draft, based off of Trapaso's reasoning, would be double dipping at a bunch of positions of need, also accounting for several positions that are going to be pending free agents in the year of 2026. I like where he was going. I'm not particularly fond of the back half of the draft. I like our first 3 picks, though. A Grant, a Darian Porter, and a Donovan Ezeruku. If, for example, he could fall, I think that I would, on paper, give it a B+. But based off of realism, like based off of Ezeruku falling into the 3rd, based off of double dipping at the corner position early rather than double dipping at the defensive tackle position early, based off of us standing pat on each and every single pick, not moving up, not moving down, I'm going to have to make it a C, because I feel like this is just something that kind of gets us super excited without a sense of realism, if you will. And chat, please sound off and give us a grade on this most recent draft class that we had an opportunity of just reacting to. Now, moving on, we have another one, which I find interesting. This is from Sports Illustrated. It is a 4-round mock drafts. 2 massive trades frustrate fans, but deliver results. Now listen, regardless of what the Buffalo Bills look for, or regardless of where the Buffalo Bills draft or what they end up walking away with there's going to be a small section of Bills Mafia that is wildly upset with these selections. So I'm going to brace you as I am bracing myself because, again, I am raw dogging this blind reaction here. We'll start off with the first selection of the Buffalo Bills. They trade down. The Buffalo Bills ultimately end up trading down, which is something that has really been getting into the theories of Bills Mafia, right? Because, again, each and every single season, and a lot of people don't agree with this, but I certainly do, there are not 32 first-round grades on a first round. There is not, quite simply. And the Buffalo Bills are just such a good team that oftentimes when it is their time to select a player, that player has no business being selected in the first round, and regardless, it is going to be a reach. So if the Bills' big board absolutely evaporates, like by pick 23, for example, I suppose trading down and then trading up again into the second to walk away with less assets would make a little bit of sense. However, with this overall selection, with the Buffalo Bills trading down, the Buffalo Bills ultimately ended up selecting Siobhan Revel, a cornerback out of East Carolina. Again, a prospect where many experts are throwing darts at the wall right now, folks. Many are throwing darts at the wall of where he is going to land. Like, we have seen him go at 21. We have seen him go at, for example, 33. I think a lot of teams are a bit concerned about his ACL reconstructive surgery that he had this previous September. But I do think that this guy would be a solid piece for the Buffalo Bills. I'm not going to lie to you. Even if he begins the season on the PUP list, he's not back by week 5, week 6. If he can get back to the sort of player that he was in his junior year of college, and then also end up getting him ramped up entirely by week 8, week 9, this is going to be great. Some fresh legs out there, opposite of Christian Benford. As much as we love shitting on Dane Jackson, right? As much as we love shitting on Jamarcus Ingram, oh my God, dude, our defense is going to be terrible if we don't get a starting CB2 in there by week 1, I'd probably have to disagree with you there, right? Because, again, the same secondary who led the league in turnover differential at one point during the season last year is all returning, at least the contributors. And some of you are like, oh my God, Dan, like, we don't have Rasul Douglas. He did not contribute a single turnover to a team that led the league in turnover differential. So if, for example, we wanted to play the long game and go for Siobhan Revel at the first overall selection, I'd be all right with this. I would be all right with this. But next up, I suppose this is where things get a little interesting here. Next up, the Buffalo Bills received an additional second-round pick. All right, so they had 3 second-round picks at one point, and they used it to trade up with the Chicago Bears at pick 41, and they selected edge rusher out of Arkansas, Landon Jackson. Landon Jackson, and this is the quote specifically from this mock draft. The predicted trade with Cleveland gave the Bills 3 picks in round 2, and they also have one from Stephon Diggs' trade in 2024. Instead of staying put, they get aggressive and send pick 56 and 62. I will stop the reading of the excerpt there. Don't like that at all. Don't like trading both of our second-round picks. Just going to say that. To the Chicago Bears to land pick number 41 and a future 4th. They use that selection to bring in one of their big draft crushes, Landon Jackson. Landon Jackson, who the Buffalo Bills evidently and reportedly really like. Jackson was a breakout star at the NFL Combine and has the measurable Buffalo wants at defensive end. He will start as a rotational edge rusher behind Joey Bosa with the potential to start down the road. Down the road here, folks. All right, so we've seen a little bit of movement. So far, we have 2 players. We have edge rusher. We have Siobhan Revel with the first pick, who likely wouldn't be available and or at least caught up to speed until, I'd say, a conservative estimate, week 6, week 7. And then we end up getting Landon Jackson, who, while I know the Bills love the prospect, and while I know that they love the prospect here, can we all confidently say that edge rusher is a bit more of a need for Buffalo right now rather than defensive tackle? I'm not so sure. And again, I'm also pissed off that we walked away with, or that we traded up with those two at the bottom of the draft, because we have quite a bit. But anyway, let's continue to move on. Round 3, the Buffalo Bills ultimately end up finding themselves in the 3rd round. Let's look at this. And they select Billy Bowman Jr. And Billy Bowman Jr., might I ask, and they use that to select. Okay, I'm trying to think how we got into the 3rd round in the first place. We will read up on this. But as far as the Billy Bowman pick, as many of you guys know, he is one of my personal favorite safeties in the mid-rounds of the NFL draft. He is indeed a coverage safety, which I believe that we need, somebody to excel in that position. I think that he would also really be competing, right, for a starting position, not unless Buffalo has every intention of running with Cole Bishop and also with Taylor Rapp as the starting tandem, although that we are looking at two very similar players. I would like this. And so I do think that Bowman would be an excellent, excellent addition for this team. Bowman, welcome to the team. I'm feeling okay. And then last but not least, 4th round pick 109, Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU, who has been a wide receiver that a lot of you who have been watching my content have been asking me to look at. And let's see what they have to say about this. They say Buffalo doesn't have a legit number 1 wide receiver, but they have a strong committee, which gets another weapon here in Savion Williams. He's not a refined wideout, which is a red flag number 1, but he can help in multiple ways, including lining up in the backfield. So basically what we tried to make Curtis Samuel last year, and a guy that isn't necessarily as refined as some of the other wide receivers in the draft. So I'm going to tell you what, guys, it's interesting. This mock draft has the Buffalo Bills moving around quite a bit. And I'm not so sure that I'm on board. But anyway, next pick. So we stay put in the 4th round. Pick 132, we got Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle out of Oregon. Let's read the excerpt here. With their last pick in the round 4, the Bills bring in Oregon's Jamari Caldwell, a 6'2", 332-pounder. Caldwell is a massive run stuffer who would be the eventual replacement of Daquan Jones. I saw him at the Senior Bowl as well. He is a big-bodied wide receiver. Now, just looking over this last mock draft before we move on to the next one, I just want to say that starting off by trading down into the 2nd round to select Siobhan Revel, with the additional 2nd round pick we selected, we moved up in the 2nd again to grab Landon Jackson, edge rusher out of Arkansas. Round 3, we selected Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma. And our 2 4th round picks were Savion Williams, wide receiver, and also a Jamari Caldwell, defensive tackle out of Oregon. If this comes to fruition, then it sounds like Buffalo really has a lot of confidence that last year was just a down year for Daquan Jones. And they have all the confidence in the world that he'll be able to come back and have a season full of splashes, a season full of flashes to come back out. I'm not so sure how I would feel about this mock draft. I'm kind of leaning toward a C+ because I like the aggressiveness. But I'm not entirely sure that we get there. Shout out to Big Papa Bill for coming in and becoming a YouTube member. Big Papa Bill, I appreciate you, man. Hope all is well. Scott Vanaloo has come in and says, analysts have Brandon trading up as high as 21 with Pittsburgh or even high as 19 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers if one of our guys starts falling, whether it's a DT and a corner. For me, this mock draft that we are currently looking at, folks, I'm going to have to give this about it's tough. It's tough for me because Landon Jackson has only had 1 year of quality production. Like, he's grown quite a bit, which is a good sign. I suppose it depends on how you look at it. I do like Siobhan Revel a lot as the prospect, but who knows? Is he going to be the same player? He literally just had a reconstructed ACL tear. Like, next up, Billy Bowman. I like him. Like, right at the safety. I'm not even sure if he's going to be going that high. A 3rd round, I suppose, is toward the end of the 3rd, so maybe I'm not completely like going crazy. Wrist loves Revel. So do I, man. He's a dog. And then Savion Williams, who I suppose I wouldn't be clicking my heels over. And then Jamari Caldwell, a defensive tackle out of Oregon, who's the run stuffer that we are looking at. But then we would exclusively be relying on Daquan Jones to be that guy. But I don't know. I'd say a B- would probably be where I'm at while reacting to this. But anyway, let's make some moves. Next mock draft, folks, we have Mel Kiper's 3-round mock draft highlights defensive needs for the Buffalo Bills. All right, Kiper, feed it, inject it into my veins. Where do we go? Number 1, damn. Maxwell Hairston. Man, I know that y'all are excited about this one. Before I even went live, I'm pretty sure it was Derek who came in and said that he is a dream first-round selection for this team. And this is quote unquote based off of the scouting report. Teams were able to throw against Buffalo last season and completing 68.5% of their passes into coverage. That was the 5th worst in the league and worst among playoff teams. Rasul Douglas is unsigned, and his outside corner spot opposite Christian Benford is currently held by a new addition, Dane Jackson. More depth is needed. Hairston can fly. He ran a 4.28 second 40-yard dash at the combine, fastest time at the event this year. And he has the hands to make plays with 6 picks over the past 2 seasons. Maxwell Hairston. It's funny because when I look at this prospect, he's that guy for me that really fluctuates between late first-round talent and high second-round talent. If, for example, the board starts to fall a particular way, I think Maxwell Hairston would be one of those players where I don't necessarily have a first-round grade on, but I would feel comfortable taking him in the first round. It's not to a point where I look at that and I'm like, holy hell, that was a reach. He's one of those players where I think it could go either way, and I would be fine if Buffalo selected him in the first. I really, really would. I suppose in an ideal world, I would oppose like a slight trade down situation, and then we selected him at 34, at 35. However, Maxwell Hairston, I'd be okay with it. Mel Kiper, what do you got for us next? Round 2, and Mel does not have any trade up, trade down situations on this mock draft. But what I want to do is just focus on prospects anyway, so I will forgive it. Pick 56, Tyleik Williams. All right, listen. Mel is starting off hot with me right now because he has just listed 2 prospects that I absolutely love that I think would be day 1 fits for this team. Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Let's go on ahead and read up what we have. Williams is a stout against the run up the middle. Injected in my veins, folks. But he also shows the quickness and suddenness to penetrate the backfield. Over the past 2 seasons, he has had 5.5 sacks, 34 pressures, 16.5 tackles for a loss, and 21 run stops. He could get into the mix up the middle with Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones, especially with Larry Ogunjobi suspended for 6 games. Love Tyleik Williams. He fits the mold. He fits the size profile that I think Buffalo is going for. Sign me up. Next up, we have Xavier Watts, folks. Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. Is he falling that late into the second round? I suppose that is up for debate. But if we are specifically looking for a safety that thrives in coverage, he's our dude. 13 picks past 2 seasons, folks. That screams ball hawk to me. Would you not? Quote unquote, getting a player with 13 interceptions over the past 2 seasons, most in college football / the FBS, this late in round 2 would be great for Buffalo. And the Bills took Cole Bishop in the same range, number 60 last year, and they could continue building up the safety room. Alternatively, and so the Bills could add another pass catcher, TCU's Savion Williams and Maryland's Ty Felton would be my best available based off of what they're looking for. So Mel Kiper believes we could go Watts, or we could ultimately end up going with a couple of wide receivers below listed, either Savion and or Ty Felton. If it comes out to this, and right now he's only including the first 3 rounds of this selection, I think this is my favorite one so far. So I really, really do. I'd probably have to give this one, I'd say an A-. And so I'd say an A- for this one. I feel like I'd be okay. Feel like I would be okay. All right. Let's take a look at this. Buffalo Lowdown, the blog website, powered by Fansided. They selected their 7-round NFL mock draft 1.0. Was released March 15th, so it's a bit old, but we're still going to look at it. Let's see what they got to say. Let's see what these fools got to say about it. First overall pick, we have Kenneth Grant. That's an A-plus pick for me, but will he be at 30? That's a different question. Round 2, we selected Darian Porter. Okay. Round 2, Caleb Johnson. Okay, throw this out. Listen, you started hot. You started hot, ladies and gentlemen. And then they had to throw a damn running back into the mix with one of our first 3 selections. All right, come on, listen. You know what? Your transmission is on the fritz, but you're putting new rims on the truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's exactly that sort of energy that I'm not looking for right now. Your transmission is the problem, man. And your vehicle is not running appropriately. No, you don't need subwoofers installed into the car. All right? There are bigger problems that need to be addressed. And selecting a running back, I'm not even going to read this because I have no thought as into why this would be a solid draft. Jordan Birch, edge rusher out of Oregon with the 4th round pick, 6'6", 295. Had a career 8.5 sacks with the Ducks. Second, 4th round pick is Danny Stutzman, a linebacker out of Oklahoma. This Buffalo Bills team often runs out of the a 2 linebacker or the nickel coverage. There's no way that we run a 4-3 because we take Taron Johnson off of the field. Why would we select a linebacker when we have 2 that are already there and Dorian Williams behind Matt Milano? I'm fine with taking a linebacker, but give me somebody in the 7th round. Give me Sean Dolak out of UB or roll out Joe Andreessen again, all right, as another depth player. I don't want to go for Danny Stutzman that early. Number 5, you have Noel Williams, a corner out of California. 7 interceptions, 8 pass deflections. I suppose round 5, Marcus Tate, an offensive lineman out of Clemson. I'm okay with this one because we are going to be having some depth concerns next offseason. That's addressing for the future. He double dips at the offensive line position next year with a gentleman by the name of Connor Colby. You have Katan Crawford, safety out of Nevada, with the 6th round pick. I'm cool with that. He excels in coverage. Solid player. And then Luke Leachy, a tight end out of Iowa, with the 6th round pick, number 206. Not particularly my favorite. I'd probably have to give that one a D+. I'd probably have to give that one a D+. And this is a poor mock, Mike was saying. Sincerest apologies, but a D+ to whoever ended up writing that mock draft. But anyway, last but not least, I did find this article that I just reacted to on TikTok. I did react to it on Instagram, but I would like to go through it right before we transition over into the live chat for the Q&A segment. It's Friday, baby. We're going to go a little longer than usual today. Smash that like button for me. Smash that like button for me, folks. We are going to have an extended show so I can give everybody the love that they deserve in the live chat. However, this article that was put together by Matty Glab from the Buffalo Bills themselves highlights and consolidates all of the first-round selections from every single mock draft across the NFL, or the NFL media world, if you will. But starting off, USA Today, pick number 30 is Azareye'h Thomas, Florida State. Here's the deal. I like Azareye'h Thomas. I do. But this is a late 2nd round prospect, folks. This is a late 2nd round prospect right here. He is a scheme fit, indeed. But I have a couple of corners that I would much prefer on this roster that if Azareye'h Thomas is available at 30, I guarantee you that Maxwell Hairston is also available. I guarantee you that Trey Amos is also available. I guarantee you that Darian Porter, Maxwell Hairston, all those dudes are still available. All 4 of those guys I would prefer over in Azareye'h Thomas at pick 30. I would not like this. I certainly would not. / Siobhan Revel. I would take Siobhan Revel over in Azareye'h Thomas at pick number 30. It's not the prospect I dislike. It is where he is being selected. I'm okay with walking away with Azareye'h Thomas only if our first round selection is indeed a defensive tackle. That's me. I have a lot of players above Azareye'h Thomas on my big board that, without a doubt, I promise would be available at this point. And plus, again, I don't think that we're staying at 30. I would be shocked. Next up, Many of us already know that I am a massive advocate for Maxwell Harrison, and this is from Mel Kiper, whose mock draft we just ultimately ended up going over together. Fine with this injected in my veins. You have CBS Sports Pete Prisco has Siobhan Revel Jr. He's going to the Bills at 30. I'm going to have to give that an A. CBS Sports Ryan Wilson has the Buffalo Bills selecting Luther Burden III. Here's my take on Luther Burden. He has experience playing on the outside, but he excels out of the slot, right? And he only played on the outside for his first year in college over in Missouri. His production was absolutely nothing. Then they move him over to the slot position. He has the best 2023 that we have seen from a wide receiver almost ever. Still quality production last year, although that his target saw a significant drop off, does not mean that he fell off. It just means that he wasn't utilized nearly as much as he was in 2023. Make no mistake, this guy is a slot. They moved him to slot for a reason, because he wasn't producing on the outside. And I don't think that we need to take somebody away from that position where we already have a player that excels in it in the first place on this roster in Khalil Shakir. We need somebody that is not 3 years removed from playing the position that we need him to play. I would pass on Luther Burden on here. I do not see him as a scheme fit. I really don't. I feel like it would be a roll of the dice. And then say Buffalo did ultimately end up walking away from them. I have a feeling that they will find out the hard way that, maybe there was a reason why Missouri moved him over to the slot in the first place after his first year in college. And even if he were to produce on the outside, rest be assured, we would not be seeing a day one impact, a year one impact sort of player. He'd probably need to make several adjustments, if you will. So not a fan of that one. 30 at Tyleik Williams, very much like Maxwell Harrison. I would be okay with Tyleik Williams in the first round. Say, for example, that some of our other top prospects are gone at this point. He's exactly what we're looking for. Big run stopper. Solid player. I'm fine with that. We've discussed Maxwell Harrison before. I'm fine with this. Tyleik again. We have Kenneth Grant, as you know. I'm not going to glaze that much further. PFF, Max Chadwick, and Dalton Wasserman have the Buffalo Bills selecting Nick Emanwari out of South Carolina. I got to tell you what, selfishly, I would love this freak on this team. That's exactly what he is. He is a athletic freak. If this dude falls to 30, and Kenneth Grant is still on the board, I'm taking Emanwari. And that's crazy to say, but that is how much Emanwari is the best safety prospect in this draft. He's the next Kyle Hamilton, as I have said before. There's no doubt that defensive tackle is very important, right? But now I'm talking about who is literally the best player. If Emanwari falls that far, I'm sorry, but I am taking him. He is that good. He is the next Kyle Hamilton. Next up, we have Derek Harmon. And so I feel like a lot of you guys know that I am not much of a Derek Harmon guy. So I think that his player comp actually was written so to be a Daquan Jones. And while Daquan Jones did well for us, I suppose, for his first couple of years in Buffalo prior to injury, I feel like we need a sort of player. All right. I'm not particularly on top of the Derek Harmon train. I don't think that he does anything elite. I feel like his ceiling is nothing but a glorified rotational player. So I just think he's not a scheme fit for this team. I really, really don't. Number 30, we have Jahdae Barron. My God. So you heard me say that if Emanwari was on the board and Kenneth Grant was on the board, I would take Emanwari. If both of those players were on the board and Jahdae Barron was also, he would be a pick for me right there. Him falling to 30 is absolutely bananas. I do not see this happening. Like, not unless like something comes out, right? Like he ends up pulling a hamstring while he's playing one-on-one basketball or something outside of performances and statistics makes him drop. I would run to the damn podium. For a Jahdae Barron at 30, but him going to 30 is almost insane. Kenneth Grant, again, you have Malachi Starks. He would also be a quality safety pickup for us as well. surprisingly enough, if Emanwari and Starks were available, which is la fantasy land, I'd still pick Emanwari, but I do like Starks. I do. I'd probably pick him over Kenneth Grant as well. But the likelihood of either of those two safeties being available by the time it's Buffalo's turn, unlikely. And then last but not least, finally, the first trade-up scenario that we're seeing here from NFL.com, Chad Reuter. He is saying trade number 30 to Baltimore for number 27. And the Buffalo Bills selected Matthew Golden. That, folks, would be indeed an A-plus pick for me. Well, damn, folks. It's exhausting mocking mock drafts, but now it's my favorite time of the episode where I end up transitioning over to my live chat audience. Guys, listen, if you are enjoying the show, all I ask is that you just hit that thumbs up sign for me. Helps me propel the show out to the YouTube algorithm so more Bills fans, more NFL fans that like to talk ball on a regular basis can discover this show. And I think it's time for that Q&A segment. I really, really do. I really, really do. Let's go on ahead and without further ado, knock it out. Guys, as always, when it comes into my question and answer statement, just please do me a favor. When you're asking a question, please begin it with a Q and a dash so I can easily decipher between each and every single thing. Dwayne, what up, man? Hope all is well. Dan, if a wide receiver like wide receiver Golden somehow dropped to us, would you be happy with DT Tyleik Williams? Yes. Yes, most definitely. Say that Matthew Golden is there, and we are confident that by the time it gets to our turn in the second round, and we know Tyleik is going to be there, or dare I say Darius Alexander, or dare I say Alfred Collins, or dare I say Omar Norman Lott, you're damn right. You are damn right. I 110% would take Golden, as long as we're confident that by the time it's our turn to select in the second round, that we would be able to make it happen. So I love it. We have Keith and Suzanne Blackburn have come in with a question. What's going on, Keith and Suzanne? I hope you were enjoying your beautiful Friday morning. Are NFL draft boards just a team's ranking of desired players, or is there more sophistication? Yeah, that's basically what it is in a nutshell. So what they do is that they have like first round grades, and they say, all right, no matter what, the best player in this draft is Ashton Genty. And this is just me throwing darts at the wall. It's all subjective based off of what the NFL team believes. So they just have like a ranking of each and every single player. And what they do as the draft goes by, they just cross off names. And in an ideal world, they select the next player available based off of what they are looking for. So that's kind of what we mean when we're discussing big boards. It is their own subjective rankings of players and how they think of them or what they think of them. All right, we got Chris S. has come in. What defensive player with game-wrecking skills could be realistically drafted? No pipe dreams, please, or are there not any realistic available to us? We need this to get to the Super Bowl, in my opinion. There are several. Some of them would require us to trade up for, or by some miracle, some could fall to us at a reasonable selection. And I think some of these game-wrecking players could be found all the way up into the end of the second round. But Grant is certainly one. I think at Emanwari, I think a Malachi Starks, I think a Jahdae Barron, I think a Donovan Ezeruku as well, an edge rusher right off to the side. He would be a game wrecker. So there's several game wreckers that all right, so hear me out. I don't think anybody is going to be bitching about the first round selection from Buffalo this year. I really don't. At least in hindsight. That's me. But yes, to answer your question, there are several defensive gems we could potentially find. Waylon Bunch has come in. Waylon, I sincerely hope you're enjoying your Friday afternoon, my friend. If we are going to be mocked to trade up, would you prefer James Pierce Jr. or Landon Jackson? For me, I probably wouldn't go with either of them for the first selection that we could have in the first round. And I hate to focus exclusively on a position group, but when you look at our current edge rushing room, sure, there are some things we need to account for next year because Bosa is going to be on the final year of his deal. You also have AJ Epinesa, who is going to be on the final year of his deal. So an edge rusher is important to me. But as far as in the present, as far as our current depth situation, I'm completely fine with it. So I'm not sure how I would feel about a James Pierce and or a Landon Jackson for the first selection. Landon, say, for example, he falls to us in the second, like toward the late second. For sure, I'd be okay. But I think that Landon Jackson fits what the Buffalo Bills are looking for as far as a size profile is concerned. We have Derek coming on in saying, Dan, per the point system, we can trade with Dallas, and it makes a lot of sense for us. Trade 56 and 62 for 44 and 76. I am all in on that. Interesting. So you're saying that we would trade 56 and 62 to get us in the middle of the second round and then ultimately end up acquiring a third round pick. We are going to figure out something to get into the third round. That I can all but guarantee you. Ryan Hack has said, where is Emanwari projected to most likely go at? Several mock drafts have him going between, I think it's 18 to like 22. Several of them do, but a small handful that also has quite a few of him dropping to like early second round, but I'm not entirely convinced on that. He's going to be a high teens, early 20s sort of selection. Tyler has come in. What's up, Tyler? Hope all is well. He says, and so is it wrong for me to think that Josh can score 30 on any defense and we should draft defense no matter what? Yeah, for sure, man. Listen, I think that like not only is this the main sentiment surrounding Bills fans, but I also believe that this is exactly the mindset for the front office. There are so many holes on the defensive side of the football as far as current ones and then ones that are about to be in 2026. I still would like another wide receiver because right now we really only have 4 guys that are capable of being producers in our offense. We have Keon Coleman, we have Khalil Shakir, we have Curtis Samuel, and we have Palmer, right? We did bring in Laviska Shenault as well, who I think is going to win the kick return battle from Cordington. So that's 5, and Buffalo typically runs with about 6 wide receivers at any given moment. So we still need one more contributor outside, of course, of some of the players that are practice squad guys that are camp bodies. But I'm not saying that like we go for a wide receiver immediately, right? There are a lot of gems in the defensive scouting report, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we end up going for a wide receiver where I'm hoping that we do, and that's around the 3rd and or the 4th. We have Darren Eakins is coming in saying, would you have faith in Bean's trust with Ingram if we don't draft a CB in the first 2 rounds? Certainly, man. We have seen this coaching staff turn very average players into quality contributors. As much as we like to shit on the Dane Jackson acquisition this offseason, he was quality depth for us for years. Quality. Now, was he perfect? Absolutely not, but he was a 7th round pick, right? But I think McDermott's coaching style really elevates average players into significantly above average players. Imagine what he could do with a prospect that he could draft within the first 1, 2, or 3 rounds. I feel like I would have questions, and so I would like a corner to be one of our first 3 picks, but I don't know. Man. All right. Statement from Bill716. The fact that we are around the 5th worst at completion percentage allowed, that is why turnover differential doesn't have much merit, because what happens when you can't get a turnover and you can't stop them as well? I just don't see the trend really like falling off of a cliff as bad as it did, right? Like last year, like we were averaging like 1.5 TOs per game. So a significant drop off for me, like where like we just don't get a turnover for like 6 or 7 consecutive games. Not statistically likely. As far as the completion percentage as well, that often happens when you have a defense that is ran by the Buffalo Bills, because last year, like, so we have to think about it, right? Like, what does McDermott like to do? Like, why are you screaming at your television screen almost every single Sunday when we play a high quality offense? Why we're screaming at our offense, and I guarantee you this statement has come out of your mouths before, being like, why the hell is Christian Benford 10 yards off the line of scrimmage? I feel like everyone has said that several times. Last year, Buffalo adopted the bend but do not break sort of defense. That's what we did. Like, that was largely a scheme situation for us. Like, we wanted to go out there. We wanted to tire out the offense by itself. And then our advanced metrics ended up completely turning around in the second half of ball games. When you see these completion percentages, a lot of it is very ugly at the first half of the games, but toward the second half of the games, not so much. Now, also, so I do also want to point out this. A lot of the teams, like what we faced, a lot of their pass attacks, folks, so were swing routes. 3 to 4 yard average depth of target, slants right up the middle, small little comeback routes off to the sideline. The reason Buffalo ran that defense was because they didn't want to give up the big play. So the completion percentage thing, I'm not particularly looking at that being like, oh my God, dude. But again, like I said, I do want a CB2 on this team. I do. But it's not corner or bust for me in the first selection. So say that we go defensive tackle right within the first. Don't go crazy, because I can promise you we will be targeting a corner with that following selection. We have Ryan Hack has come in with a statement. With that first mock you looked at, and there was a corner pick late that they said could turn into a safety, and you didn't seem happy about it. We did that with Micah. I feel it wouldn't be too bad of an idea. So the one thing that I didn't specifically like was the fact that he is known for his run defense, his run stopping capability for me. And what I think this secondary needs is somebody that excels a tad more in coverage. And I'm not saying that like he wouldn't be able to make that transition by itself, but I feel like moving a guy that excels in run defense and moving him to the safety position is just a bit redundant for me, because right now, like when you look at our safety room, you have Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop, both of the exact same sort of player. Somebody that excels in run defense, decent in coverage, decent. Like we need a Micah Hyde that excels, right, in that part of the game. Somebody that could be a ball hawk, somebody that can create turnovers with deep passes downfield. I suppose I'd be okay with rolling the dice. It is a late round selection, and we could always turn like sort of our attention to the 2026 NFL draft if the experiment didn't work out. But there's been so many hypotheticals in the past of, oh yeah, like Buffalo ended up drafting this guy and like we're going to turn him into a safety. Like we heard that forever for Christian Benford for his first couple of years, being like, oh yeah, like we're going to turn him into a safety. And look at that. He just kind of became that dude. And plus. And so I really don't want somebody that's going to be a project, right? We have Darren Eakins has come in with a question. Would you rather trade down from 30 to a mid-30 pick and a third, or trade 56th and 62nd for a top second round pick along with the 30th? Would much rather trade down from 30 to the 30s and a third, right? I want to have 2 selections in the second round. I do. Bare minimum, I want 2 selections in the second round, and I also want a third round pick. That's my ideal selection space, right? Want at least 2 in the second, 1 third. So I think I would probably rather go with that first solution. We have Parrish just come in and says, why is McDermott want to ban the tush push when Buffalo did the Buffalo butt bump second to the Eagles? He's probably just playing politics, to be completely honest with you. He's probably just playing politics. I don't think that he's really voting against it. He's probably just trying to save a little bit of face. Maybe he has intentions of going high up in the front offices of the NFL eventually if he ever decides to step away from coaching. We have a question. If you could draft from a list of generational players, what position would you draft? Generational. We're talking about this year's class or like we're talking about ever? Great question. Dexy Gaming is coming saying, Dan, for Edge, I want JT Tumalau. He would be insane next to Groot, a.k.a. Greg Rousseau. I'm going to have to check him out, man. I'm going to have to check him out. We have no bones about it. Derek Harmon is a carbon copy of Chris Jones, 6'6", 310, 34.5 arms and 10.5 hands. Sounds pretty intriguing to me. He's not for me. He's not for me. But hey, listen, if Buffalo believes in him, then I suppose I could buy in. Ever. If you could draft from a list of generational players, which position would you draft first? Generational. I'd say defensive tackle for me. You already know. QB, next question. Wow, folks, please do me a favor. Smash that like button. Easiest way to show a little bit of love. 190 of you in here right now. So between all platforms, let's make it happen. Dan, would you trade Cook to move up in the NFL draft to around 20 or so? 110%. But the problem is, like, what team would do that, right? I don't think that James Cook has a move up in the first sort of price tag, not unless we say we also included is like a 4th round pick, for example, right? Because like this draft class is so deep in running backs right now, like very, very good running backs, especially in the first round. So a team's going to be like, all right, like we could trade for James Cook, who's about to be 26 and he wants $15 million. Or so I could stay put and I could just draft Hampton from North Carolina, who's younger, and I'd be able to go on ahead and give him a rookie contract, right? I feel like James Cook's value based off of this draft class would be able to help us go from the 4th to the 3rd. But first and second, I don't think that would be a possibility. But, I mean, say that we can find a team that's dumb enough to do it, 100%. 110%. Ryan Hack, question of every Bills player to ever play, what player in their prime would you bring back to help make a push next year? I mean, so I think easy answer is Bruce Smith, right? Easy answer is Bruce Smith. Easy. 0 questions asked there, brother. So it would be our 30 next year, 3rd and Cook for 10 to 12 spots. Yeah, but like, I'm just not sure. So if a team would be about that. That's the only thing. But hey, listen, I totally would say that they would accept it. We have Deshaun Santiago is coming saying, I understand that we don't know the ins and outs of these players, but I hope the Bills draft players that don't have injuries like ACLs. Listen, we just got to trust our staff, really, at the end of the day. Just have to trust our staff. Bill 716, where do you see safety Simmons going? And do you think we could afford it? Thirdly, is there a fit on this defense for him? I'm sure we could, right? But like dude's like 30, 31. Like he'd probably cost the contract of probably around, I don't know, like $12 million for a 1-year deal. I'd say laced with incentives. And so I'd probably pass. So as far as like future moves, so I feel like all of the remaining holes we have on this roster, I think that we just need to look at the NFL draft at this point. I really, really do. Spidey Munn has come in. What's up, Spidey Munn? Hope all is well. Off topic, but what do you think are the best seats to get at a game? I feel like front row, you'd barely be able to see anything, but I want to be close to the team. Best seats that are also affordable is right at the corner of the end zone. So right at the corner of the end zone, I would see about 12 to 15 rows up for me. That's my favorite spot to get because number one, so they are affordable and like you still get a solid vantage point. If not, like right at the beginning of like the second level of the bowl, very first row there, like around 40, 50-yard line. Those are also super affordable. Solid vantage point for me. So to be honest with you, and like this is probably it's probably an unpopular take. I do enjoy going to games, I really do, but I much prefer watching them at home every single time. Every single time, I much prefer watching them at home. Like, say, for example, I was ever in Buffalo, like tailgating and stuff like that, just having a hell of a damn time. There were so many times where I would just like sell my tickets at the tailgate and just go to like the closest bar to watch the game. I just feel like it's a better experience for me. Like maybe it's because I'm old, like right now, and like maybe I just don't feel like dealing with like a bunch of um into large drunk crowds or something like that. I don't know. Like maybe it's because I'm definitely unk status. But yeah, dude, like for some reason, like I've really been all about just watching the games at home. I just prefer it. I just prefer it, dude. It's tough for me. Would you want to use a sixth or a seventh on Desmond Watson, a 465-pound defensive tackle? Damn, man. I did see that guy out of Florida get a lot of love and articles based off of him. If he is drafted, he will be the heaviest player in NFL history to get it done. So I'd be fine taking a flyer out on a guy like that, but say for example that he is the only defensive tackle that we walk away with, I'd probably be a little upset because number one, he's going to have to maintain his weight, right? Like 465 is not healthy. It's not something I think that would be sustainable in the NFL. So like he would have problems with weight control, I'd probably have to say. So sure. So say that we pull a flyer out on a player like that, but he better not be the only selection that we have. Dan, it would not be the Dan Mitchell show without you punching Bob. You're right, dude. You're right. Hold up. There he is. There he is. Bob just got a knuckle sandwich. We have Dr. Jeff. We have Dr. Jekyll. The Bills are coming to Carolina this season, and I am going. My first live Bills game. I hope I don't break a hip diving through an inflamed table. Well, let me tell you what, Dr. Jekyll, have a damn good time. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. We have RM56. And so I prefer going to a team theme bar than going to the games. Save money and more comfortable environment usually, and no worries about the chaos of leaving/getting in. Yeah, man, like, so I'm 33 years old, and so I'm about to be 34 in July, right? So I've kind of gotten over the whole, like, oh my God, like, I'm going to go get blackout at a tailgate, then stumble into a stadium. I probably, like, won't remember the game. And when I'm watching the game, I'll probably be watching the scoreboard so the entire time of the actual broadcast. And I spent like $300 to be there. So I much prefer a bar. Damn right. Night, Bob. Okay. So we have solid question here. He says, just for fun, if Matthew Golden, Grant, or Amos is at 30, who are you picking? That's tough. That's tough. I think this is unpopular, but I think I might go Matthew Golden. I'm from the Asheville area of North Carolina, but moved to South Carolina where my wife is from. Look at that, man. Beautiful, beautiful. We have Matthew. Danny, will there be a baseball roundtable? Soon, hopefully. Soon there will be. We are going to launch. So we're going to be launching individual team roundtables coming up soon, right? So for those of you that are unaware, I own a company called Roundtable Sports, where we end up pitting divisional rivals against each other for a weekly debate show. But this year, we are also launching individual team roundtables on their own specific channels. So you will be getting a Bills roundtable, a Dolphins roundtable, a Patriots roundtable, and a Jets roundtable, more like team focus centric shows, which is where we are putting the majority of our investment into. And the Bills roundtable is going to be, drum roll, please, Dan Mitchell, Z-Bot. Who's number three? Bill's Bunker is also about to be the third host of the show, beginning in August. And Kevin maybe as well, but he has a pending life event that may so make him not be a part of it. But we will see. And I'm not going to put his business out there, but I'm very proud of him. But then maybe Kevin as well. So it's going to be me, Z-Bot, the Bills Bunker, and then maybe or maybe not Kevin. We shall see. So damn. Folks, that's going to have to do it. And so I appreciate you tuning in for a nice Friday afternoon stream. I have to shower. I smell like shit. And I also need to do a bunch of things here and there. Shout out to my mods. Shout out to everybody that always shows love on this channel. And so we'll see you soon. Peace.